Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video today. So today we're going to start the first episode of my GTR rebuild series. This series has been in the making for a while. Behind the scenes, I've been registering for GTR Fest in Texas, buying a whole bunch of parts, and getting ready to do a complete refurb on my 1990 R32 GTR. So behind the scenes, to make these videos possible, I've taken on a sponsor, and that is AFR Autoworks in Red Deer, Alberta. So if you guys want to support the channel and you want to support vendors that support this channel and help me make videos, head on over to AFR Autoworks store, check out some of their promotional items, maybe buy a hat, some gear, and whatever purchases you make will come back on me and this channel and help support me make videos. So if you do like the channel and you do like the content, make sure you support the vendors and the sponsors that support me and my channel. So the GTR Fest Plan. So what we're going to be doing to facilitate heading down to Texas is I'm going to be rebuilding my car from the ground up. So that will be a 1990 R32 GTR in black. And I've had the car for a few years. Basically, the car has gone through a build. If you look back through my videos, right at the very beginning, there's a build series revolving around this GTR. And currently, it is a low mount turbo car. So the N1 twins are on that car from the R34 Nurspec edition, and it's running on a Link ECU. Has a bunch of modern parts, and at the time it dynoed just under 500 wheel horsepower at about 21 pounds of boost. Now, some of the issues that arose during those dyno sessions was a dip in oil pressure around the 500 horsepower mark. So rather than push things, we just left it as is, and I've been driving it for a few years now. It's a great street car, and basically I'm going to be sticking with the low mount twins, but I'm going to be going through the whole car and doing more of a show car type build, and trying to squeeze out the last little bit of power out of those low mount twins. So the plan for the next little bit is this. I'm going to be continuing to do Evo videos periodically, but in addition, I'm going to be adding a series related to this GTR build. So the idea will be, I'm going to do a build series revolving around the GTR, refurbishing it, getting it ready for the GTR Fest in Texas. I'm going to do a short video series on my travel down to GTR Fest, and then I'm going to be covering the event as well as on this channel. So I hope you stick with me for the build. It'll be an interesting summer. GTR Fest is at the end of the summer in November, and I'll be heading down there for 3 days and covering the first American, Australian sponsored really, GTR Fest. So hopefully you guys will stick with me for the build and the trip, and it should be a fun sort of build and travel video series. So in this video, I'm going to go over what is currently on my 1990 GTR and some of the new parts and what the plan is for the new version of the car. So taking a look at the GTR in its current state.
So what we have here is a 1990 R32 GTR. There's quite a few modifications to the exterior. I've got T37 wheels, wider fenders, carbon fiber Z-Tune hood, Jun lip, and carbon grille as well on the front. Basically everything's just a bit dirty. It's not really worn or anything like that. And I never did finish repainting the nose of the car. So the idea would be is that I need to take care of the body. The body's quite weathered from its time in Japan. It basically needs a paint job. So that's where the Millennium Jade paint job is going to come in. So under the hood, I've got a bunch of parts. The engine was already gone through. It's got a forged bottom end. It's got the N1 low mount twins. You can see that it's got a bunch of Greddy stuff, painted valve cover, a nice Mine strut bar. A lot of the Link ECU stuff is already wired in. It's running on a Link G4X. Carbon garnish through the front, kind of tying in with the carbon grille. Has a catch can. All the injectors have been upgraded. The wiring's been gone through. There's a 100mm throttle body as well as a Greddy intake manifold. It has a Apexi front mount intercooler.
So for this car build, I've been collecting parts for probably over a year, and I'm probably missing some things. Basically, the GTR is going to be going through engine removal, full color change. I'm going to be going through the engine, transmission, doing a whole bunch of cleaning, bushings, new exhaust, modifying the current setup, and then taking the whole car down to a dyno at AFR Autoworks and getting it tuned. I'll be going through all that on my channel here. It should be an interesting build. There are some things that I'll probably gloss over if they're boring and monotonous, but if I am installing a part, like for example the PRP head drain, I'm going to go over in detail how to put something like that in and how I'm going to put it in with low mount twins, which may be a little bit different from the big single guys. In addition, the Trust sump extension from Greddy, I'll be going over how to put that in and how easy or not easy it is to do. I'm also going to be putting in a bolt-in roll cage, which is period correct. So I'm doing a mix of period correct modifications from the 90s and mixing it in with some modern stuff. So for the roll bar, I have welded in full roll cages before. I'm not interested in doing that. I want to do a period correct sort of modification for that. So likely I'll be painting the Cusco roll bar that I have the Millennium Jade color to match the body. So in addition, I'm going to be doing the black leather sort of Alcantara Nismo interior treatment. So with the seat covers, I'll be going over that in detail as well. If you want to order those for your own car, how easy or not easy they are to install. Yeah, so it should be an interesting build. It is going to be quite involved. So yeah, I hope you stay tuned and follow along with me this summer. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the GTR body components that I've collected over the last year. Okay, so quite a bit of stuff here. You can see right from the beginning here that I have a full rear quarter. That's the left rear quarter of the car. That quarter I bought because the car has a bit of wheel well rust, so I wanted to address that. So that's the full rear quarter. It gives me plenty of factory metal to be able to correct any of the corrosion that's on the back of the car. It's especially bad down at the bottom rocker area there on the quarter, so you got to focus on that. I have some new weather strip for the two front doors, as well the retainer for the weather strip, the big metal strip that runs along the door. These are boxes filled with the rubber pieces that go around the glass, so front and back. As well, I bought a pair of new belt moldings, and that's for the belt moldings are the moldings that run along the top of the door that usually have the little sweeps attached that sort of the glass rides against. Now, I also have a semi-sport
rear spats that are pretty beat up, but I got them for really cheap, so I'm hoping I can fix those up. And I also got quarter glass for both sides on the car. The other ones, the glass itself is in good shape. However, on the ones on the car, the trim that surrounds the glass is not in the greatest shape. So unfortunately, it comes as a package, but I was able to source both pieces of glass.
So for the body, I'm going to do a full respray of the body, and I will be doing quite a bit of body work just to clean the body up, and it'll involve pulling the glass. I want to make sure that the paint job is going to be decent, and the only real way to make that kind of a guarantee is to paint without the glass in, so that there's no chance of the clear coat peeling back because of where you taped it off against the sort of the rubber insulators around the window. So, all right, guys. So moving on to some of the next parts here. So I wanted to make this build sort of pop a little bit and have some parts that are a little bit on the hard to get side, era correct. So parts from the late 90s, early 2000s. So I decided to do a few parts from the company by the name of BR. And probably some of you know the history of this company. They built, their most famous part is the power builder, the BR power builder, which is like a ignition box that allows you to build boost prior to launching. It's like launch control almost. So BR made a lot of Skyline related parts in the 90s and the early 2000s. And so I decided to get a few pieces for my build from that era. So,
Okay, so the first item that I grabbed were the BR B5s in chrome. These wheels are 18 by 9.5. I'm going to be putting a 265 3518 on these, and I think they're probably going to look really good on the build. These took a while to get from Japan. These are actually new old stock, and so they're brand new. They actually came in the original boxes, and so I'm pretty excited about putting these on the car. I think that the chrome wheels will look good with the Millennium Jade paint and the black carbon accents. So yeah, so these are going to be pretty cool. And moving on here, I have a carbon BR 3D, so the 3D sort of shape. It's kind of a drag wing. It's meant to be low mounted. I don't know if I'm going to low mount it or not. So it didn't come with the actual stands, like the stays that would come from here. So first thing I'm going to do with this carbon wing is I'm going to reproduce the sticker, because I think that's pretty cool. So I'd like to leave that on, but I need to restore the wing. So there is some damage to the clear coat. And so what I'm going to do is remove the sticker. I'm going to redo the clear coat and make it 100%.
So I think that the BR drag wing and the BR wheels are going to really set off the theme of the vehicle. The GTR is going to have some more black carbon accents plus the Millennium Jade paint. I think overall it's going to be a really cool color combination and a bit original in the parts that I'm choosing. So I'm going to have a mixture of old and new parts. So I'm going to have a lot of 90s to 2000s parts, and then as well I'm going to have a lot of really modern parts, especially from PRP and HKS and Greddy as well. That is the plan. It's going to be a bit of a mishmash, but I'm hoping that the classic 90s and early 2000s parts really set off the build.
All right, guys, so some of the random upgrades that'll be done to the car, there's quite a few. Starting over here with some of the G-Tech stuff, I bought the fan, their fan to sort of increase cooling. Right now I'm running the stock clutch fan, so I'm going to use that as an upgrade. These are the bushings for the rear subframe. These are the weld-in braces for the rear subframe. I'm going to be doing the clutch line, the ABS eliminator, and some new brake lines as well. As well, I'll be doing the G-Tech short shifter for the R32 GTR, a new rubber bushing for the shifter, and a new shift boot as well for the interior from Nissan. This is going to be for the steering rack. There's a little bit of a seep coming from the steering rack, so I'm just going to do the seals on the steering rack as well while I have the engine out. Here's a new accumulator for the rear end, so while I'm doing the G-Tech braces and the bushings, I'm going to change the accumulator. This is a socket for the accumulator to remove it. As well, I noticed that my trunk isn't opening very well, so I bought the lever for inside the cabin as well as a new cable. Some hoses for the radiator. And moving on to the oiling.
So what I've noticed with the GTR, the RB26, is at about 500 horsepower, I was getting a little bit of oil starvation where what would happen is the oil pressure on the logs would drop slightly. Now, what I've attributed this to is that a lot of the oil is now in the head. So I need to increase the drain back. I've done a few things that are going to help with that. So what's going to be happening is I'll be putting in the PRP rear head drain while the engine's out. As well, I'm going to weld on a Greddy sump extension, that kit. Now, I'm hoping that's going to solve some of the oiling issues, but we'll see. So the oiling issues are creating an issue sort of around almost 500 wheel. At 500 wheel, I'm only at about 21 pounds of boost on those N1 turbos. So I'm looking to max those turbos out. So hopefully these oiling mods will allow me to get maybe 3 or 4 more pounds of boost and truly sort of max out those turbos. I think I should be able to get over 500 wheel on those turbos. Now moving on over here to the clutch. So the clutch issue that I'm having right now is the car has a clutch that's appropriate for 1,000 horsepower. And I need to get that thing out of there. So when I bought the car came with a forged bottom end, and it had a clutch in it that was rated at something like 800 foot-pounds of torque. It's since started to chatter quite a bit, and I'm only running 400 to 500 foot-pounds through it. So I don't need that aggressive of a clutch. So what I'll be changing to is OS Geiken twin plate, and hopefully that's going to correct some of the drivability issues. Mostly, even with the 800 foot-pound, 1,000 horsepower clutch that's in there, normal driving when you're up to speed is fine. It's just leaving from a dead stop where it chatters quite a bit. As well in reverse, it chatters, which I just want to get rid of. So for the OS Geiken clutch, I chose to go with the TS2CD, and I grabbed OS Geiken's metal alignment tool, so we'll see how that works, as well as the throw bearing the shorter throwout bearing so that the clutch doesn't put any sort of pressure on the rear main or rear main seal. And here we have carbon RB26 front cam gear cover, which I'd like to add as well. I have a small garnish for around the exhaust where there's damage to the bumper, so that'll help me correct that. All right, guys, thanks again for checking out the video today. Just remember, if you are interested in following along for this video series, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell to make sure that you get notified when I put up new videos. As well, come follow me on Instagram at Wrench Rampage. Have a good night.